Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Naka Design. Now, if you have been watching any of my videos over the last many months, you know that I have been working intermittently on some blush journals. Now, of course, once I guess friends heard about that, I started receiving, especially from Kim Newberg, started receiving additional supplies, beautiful fabrics, trims, and so on. So, of course, one thing led to another. And before you know it, I had so much material, so many supplies that I discovered that I could easily do 4 blush journals. This is one of them. And this is one that I want to work on a bit today and do some additional work on the cover. Now, if you're wondering, oh, why has she picked this up after all this time? Well, it's an ongoing thing, as regulars will know. But I am looking forward to getting these done. And the impetus right now is a longtime subscriber, Maureen, aka Mo, and a new friend from the Edmonton area. So she reached out to me wondering, like what's happening? Are the journals spoken for? Blah, blah, blah. One thing, we corresponded. And basically, I don't want to say that, I have dogs nipping at my heels. I just had a very kind and friendly nudge. And I very much appreciate that, Mo. So this is not a flip through, but I have been working on these journals. I think probably a couple of them are close to the flip through point. But this big girl, is what I have been working on most recently. Now, because this cover, who knows what it was made of. I suspect a box, like a packaging box. I just measured it before I turned on the camera. It's 9 by 6, and this spine is 2 3/4, and you can see that there are 5 signatures. Now, it's always a challenge or a goal to use a book page, and that's what I did on this one. Now, for those of you, I've shown it many times, you have, well, let me just grab it and show it again. I have 2 of these sticker books. This one is called the Botanist Sticker Anthology, and that's where this and this came from. Now, these are both sort of full-page stickers. I'll just show. Oh, hey. See how that's why, this never ends, because you flip through something else and that would be perfect. Okay, so throughout the book there are these 2-page spreads, and this is the size of the sticker, and then of course there's the margin. So I had used one of those big stickers on the cover and kept this and some of the margin stickers, because we waste not, want not, tucked into the cover, knowing that at some point I will probably want to work this into this project. Let me put that aside. Now, I think it's safe to say that journal makers' skills, techniques, preferences, tastes evolve, and that's as it should be. We should keep growing and evolving. And right now, I think, even though this is attractive and it would easily fit on someone's bookcase, it's rather flat and one-dimensional. So, and we've got the issue of this spine. So and this is going to be an issue holding this baby up. Let me use my sad iron as one thing. Anyway, obviously I want to cover that spine, and I think that's probably where I'll begin. I should also tell you that as it's October 16th as I'm doing it, as harvest has ground to another halt because of rain, I used some of the downtime to go through the all the containers and bins and whatever, wherever I have been storing these blush fabrics, ribbons, laces, trims, papers, ephemera that's done, ephemera that's not done, washi tape, like you name it, I've got this stuff all around me, and I want it done with. Not because I'm tired of it, but because I need to move on to other things. So I do have fabric that I could use here, but I'm thinking maybe that's overkill. I didn't pull any out, but I did. What am I going to use on the other side? Maybe if I just, yeah, that should do the trick. And I hope you could see my camera's quite a bit higher than it normally is. So what I picked, and this obviously was salvaged from a garment, a thrifted garment. So what I thought I would do is use this to cover the spine. Now, I have my tacky glue handy, and I'm going to do that. And then I have a few other little odds and ends that I will show you as I get to them. Okay, let me see what you can see. Okay, I'd say that's probably a good happy medium. I can see what I'm doing and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this was the natural edge. This was I cut it kind of around some of the motifs rather than making a straight line. So I'm using the more curvy, interesting one on the front of the journal. Now, because I'm doing this in stages, I think that if I need to trim at the back, I will. That, of course, is a smarter strategy than cutting it too short and then wondering, okay, now how do I extend this? So I think what I should do, just to avoid having to, I think I'm going to clip this and this, and I'll glue the spine down first, then I will have a little more stability in what I'm doing. So maybe we'll do that. Now I'm hoping, I keep using this tacky glue, and I like it for this particular function. Oh, I didn't reach for my, I'll need to get a spatula, and not a spatula, but or maybe it is. You know, that silicone spreader doohickey thing. I'm going to be quite generous with this. It's going to obviously make the spine look more attractive than just, you know, book pages with 5 rows of strings. And it will also serve to strengthen all of this. Now, because I have these, I've shown you before and talked about it ad nauseum, about, oh, geez, that almost landed in my lap. Not that that would be an issue because I'm wearing my farm clothes. Because I have these rigid flashlights, number one, you're getting fewer shadows, and I'm getting a more well-lit workspace. But I bet you my bottom dollar that they also are, well, they're LED, but I think there's still a certain amount of heat generated. Now, of course, every single fiber does not have to be glued down. Now this, some would look at this and say, oh, that piece is almost too short. Well, and you'd be right. But I didn't want to cut off the wider end of the scrap because, of course, then I would have created some other less usable pieces. Okay, I think that's going to... Now, the thing with tacky glue, of course, is that it takes time to you know, dry, set up, but that's okay because that gives us some time. Okay, now this is going to be a little trickier. Maybe I should turn it this way. That's probably making it an annoying angle for you guys. Now, I think I've said in the past, whoops, here's some glue. Where's a wipe when you need one? I've said in the past that I don't particularly like gator mouths, but I don't know, you know, you make a book with a 2 3/4 inch spine, and 5 signatures, she's not going to be skinny mini. So, I don't know. And of course, at some point, I'll also figure out, what sort of a closure I'll use to keep it closed. I have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to stuff to use in these journals, and you'll be so proud of me. You can give me a virtual pat on the back. Oops, let's spread the glue. You can give me a virtual pat on the back with a like and a comment, saying how proud you are of me for using the good stuff. Because, of course, that hasn't always been easy. Now, with these 4 blush journals, and honestly, I have another book cover, that I just rediscovered the other day in a bin. There could very well be a 5th one. Okay, so that's how that is looking so far. And we're not done with the cover, but let's do the back part. Now, I think I should make this a wee bit more interesting as well. So, maybe cut out this airier part here. Anyway, I started to say that with all these, like I've used a fairly broad definition, I guess, of blush. So that's run everything from you know, a color like this, which is probably true blush, to something like this, which is more salmony, and of course the millions of pinks in between. So with what I already had here, it's running more to the salmony, apricot-y side. So, whoops. So I think that will be pretty good. So let's get right to it. So I will just give you a bit of an update. Again, you know that my life has been in limbo. So I've been really absent from watching any videos, commenting on anything. I have been taking photos of items to list on the Maker's Market and on the new, I don't know what you call it really, store that Angela has started called Restoration Home Harmony, or Harmony Home, or something like that. Anyway, I have a number of items listed there. That's more collectibles, fashion. I've got some vintage purses there. You know, more home decor type stuff. Anyway, I have a number of photos taken. I've written the descriptions. I'm still researching prices and so on. But I'll you know, get to that as I can. But I also, can you tell that I canceled my last nail appointment? So this morning I was playing catch up. Oh, my orthotics came in about a week or so ago, and of course you have to pick them up and they make sure they fit in your shoes. So this morning I made a nail appointment. I made an appointment with the chiropractor to get in and pick up those orthotics. And then I thought, hey, why don't I, now that I know that my leaving for my retreat is delayed by a week, and let's hope harvest is done by then, because, sorry, I keep making that popping sound with this thing, because I'm leaving later and obviously coming home later, I thought, oh, why don't I reschedule my ultrasound for my shoulder? That supposedly is going to tell me whether I have a torn rotator cuff. Anyway, to my surprise and pleasure, I actually was able to get an earlier appointment because there was a cancellation. So I'll actually be getting the it done this week instead of the end of the month. So anyway, so yeah, there have been those logistical things to do. I asked my daughter to see if she could change our tickets for the theater, because of course that would be happening during my time away. Okay, so I think that has elevated this quite a bit. Now, I still don't know. I guess it remains to be seen what I do here. I just put it away. Wouldn't you know it? She cleans up a bit. I do have this tattered rose distress oxide, and you know, I'm not really that much of an inker, but I'm just wondering, just for the heck of it, can't do any harm. Let's just see what happens if I tone this down a bit. Now, obviously, I inked the edges of the cover at some point, but honestly, it almost reads as green over here. So I have other pinky tones. I remember when I first started watching YouTube videos, of course, everything was foreign to me. And Pam at the Paper Outpost, I really liked watching her because she's funny and, you know, I gravitated to her. Anyway, and this is where I heard about vintage photo, vintage photo, vintage photo. And of course, then you watch other channels and you realize that's all everybody seems to talk about. So of course, monkey see, monkey do. I had to get vintage photo too. Another color that Pam used to like, I don't know if she still does, is worn lipstick. So of course I have that one as well. That's kind of a brighter pink though. Because this is such a light color, it's sure, but I think that, now if I'd have been a little more with it, I would have done that under this lace, but I guess I can kind of get in there a bit. Anyway, I will see if that needs some more when the time, before all is said and done. Okay, let's get rid of this book. And I'll show you some of the other things I'm considering for this cover. This is kind of a bit pink, but okay, so I have this, which I think could work. I have this, which, again, the thing that's going to make all this come together is throwing so much at it that nothing is really wrong. I have this yo-yo that could also work. Now again, this, what do you call these things? I can't think of the word. Anyway, maybe most of that would have to be covered, because if I build up all this height here and leave this as flat as can be, then that seems kind of pointless. Now, I also have this, which would be like a wedding flower type thing. I could remove the leaves. Now that may be getting a bit light, or a bit, I just don't know. I almost think, mind you, maybe if I pulled, now these things, we used to sell these things in our store, so this is why I know this intimately. Now these, typically, with any luck at all, you can pull, because each leaf is wired. Well, maybe not. I was going to say, sometimes you can pull them straight out and not disturb the paper wrapping on the other wire, but I think I'm going to have to just do that instead. That frees up the leaves to use if I want to. And it gives me the flower by itself. Now what I should do, since I'm not, where are my wire cutters? You didn't hear that crash, did you? So typically, now this is a thin wire, so I could even bend it or fold it, but I'm going to cut it, about 1/4 of an inch, a small 1/4 of an inch away. Hanging on to these wires, if you have the disposition to do so, this is a nice covered wire, paper covered wire, and it's thin enough that you could use it for bow making or something like that. So again, if I cut these wires shorter, I will be doing the same thing there. But let's see what we have. Now, I suppose if that still, see, as I'm looking at this, and maybe I should stand up and see bird's eye view. This sort of ties in with this and some of the lighter stuff there. So I could probably convince the jury that that would be a good thing to do. Now, what I should have done before I turn on the camera is steam this guy. So I have that. I also have this that was given to me by my buddy, my pal, Carrie the Paper Monkey. She makes these little rosebuddy type things. Now she sent me a couple. Now this color is better, so, and of course I would trim most of that white off there. Like, I don't know, is this becoming a bit? I have to leave that fairy uncovered and that butterfly. And I also have a couple of these little rosebuds that are the cutest things known to man. So those could, you know, lie nice and flat. And I also have this pearl strand that I just took off its spool because, you know how I feel about spools. So it would be quite easy. Oh, this is where a glue gun would have been a good idea. Don't think I've ever heated up my glue gun and used it on camera. But maybe there will be no gluing actually in front of you. So let's just pretend again, and this sort of strategy is always to make the viewer's eye go where I want it to. So now these came two to a card, and I thought I was so darn lucky to find them. I could probably peel some of those layers back if I wanted to. I could use two of those and then maybe this. Maybe that looks better. And then maybe these things don't make the cut. Now, mind you, these tiny little, that little rosebud might look cute there. A third rosebud would have been better, but it still gives us 5 elements and the pearl strand. Huh. I'm almost thinking I prefer that. Just because it helps tie in some of this pink that seems kind of out of place now. Now, of course, building up this kind of height does add to the overall size of the book and so on. But I would think that whoever ends up buying this, you know, would be buying it because it sort of becomes an art piece, not because it's necessarily a, you know, it's not like keeping a dictionary on your shelf or something. I'm just wondering, it's too bad. Oh, I was going to say, if only I had a white, oh, I do have a white pearl strand. And I also have this really light pink. Let's see. And of course I do it more artfully than that, but this is just for consideration. Oh, don't cover up the little fairy. I don't think that really turns me on. Let's see what white will do. Another thing that has been happening because of this major speed bump in our lives is that I've had to reply, sorry, can't attend the October meeting of the Edmonton Junk Journal group, which ticks me off to no end, because the whole plan for the night was going to be to make ATCs using only what was provided or what we supplied for the what do they call it? Rummage table? I can't decide which I like better. I almost think the white. Okay, so that will be the decision there. Let's see how long we've been at this. Oh, already half an hour. I think I'm going to do this off-site. So this is how it will end up being. I'll do this more artsy-fartsy with the pearls. And I don't know what would happen if I put my dauber away already. Huh. Look at me, just such a good girl. Let's see what happens if I touch this to some of the raised points. Oh, I started to tell you what else is gone by the wayside or is at risk. I like watching stand-up comedians on Netflix. And one of the guys that I fell in love with was Sebastian Maniscalco, an Italian-American. And he's sort of, he's a little tightly wound, and he does all the stereotypical Italian moves and expressions. And I think that is adding some dimension to this. Kind of liking that. Anyway, so, and he's got about 3 or maybe 4 specials on Netflix. And I know he's been in at least one movie, which I haven't seen. I don't know. I remember it was in the theaters a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's been anywhere else. Anyway, my daughter found out that he was coming to Edmonton. You know, and this, of course, ticket sales go on months before the event. I said, of course, yes, I'd be so happy. So she got 4 tickets for the 4 of us, and that's supposed to be this Saturday night. Well, at this point, and you know, none of these things are ever cheap, I said to her, what's happening with that? Are you going to try to scalp them? And by scalp them, I don't mean, you know, out of a trench coat in front of the venue, blah, blah, blah. I just mean, let's try to recoup the hundreds of dollars that this is costing. And so I think they're still pondering this at their end. I mean, with the rain, you know, it could be that a person can go and goodness knows needs the laugh. Because you know what that does, all the endorphins and all that. I feel like maybe this should have just a bit more. Of course, it's easier to do this before it's glued down. Yeah, I think that added something to this flower. And you know, these things are pretty, if you think, oh my goodness, she's so rough. These things are pretty resilient. And we've never turned our back on things that are tattered anyway. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop there. So the next time you see this book, this is some version of this is what you'll see. I think I'm going to stick pretty close to what has been decided here already. And yes, just know that the push is on to get these books done. I obviously want to list them, and you know, like in Mo's case, always, always, always feel free to reach out and contact me directly. If I can sell you a journal privately, I save listing fees and commissions, and which in turn means that you save those additional costs. So, and it is a way to kind of make sure that you get first grab at something you might be interested in. So by all means, keep that in mind. And as always, thank you for joining me. And probably the next time you see me, I'll have some better looking hands and maybe a better, more hopeful attitude. And yeah, we will just keep on keeping on. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.